All right, this is NBC's The Office. It could be like yours, ours, as we're talking about here. You know what I'm talking about. Your coworkers, the obnoxious laughs getting on your last nerve. Or how about the person who always hits reply all, fills your inbox with the worthless emails?
Pet peeve. Mike doesn't read his emails, so he doesn't have to worry about it. No matter where you work, everyone has office pet peeves. So what really drives people the craziest? Well, in a new survey, nearly half say the condescending tone of a coworker tops their list. Getting chewed out by the boss in front of everyone. Yeah, not a huge hit. Micromanaging, also not figuring high on the list. Some say they could also do without loud talkers and ringing cell phones. Thomas Bradley. So, that was the person who was on the cell phone earlier. So how can you get a coworker to stop those annoying habits without starting an all-out office war?
All right, we have someone who's here to help. Lynn Isagear is author of a conflict book called The Power of a Good Fight. She's also a workplace consultant, knows a lot about what we're talking about. Lynn, thanks for being with us. All right, Lynn, I've got an example.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Maybe you can help here. I'm a little annoyed. Someone I work with, I won't mention any names, likes to use the speakerphone for no apparent reason. How do I approach that situation?
Only to dial in, not to talk, just
Very
to dial.
annoying.
Well, I think it's great to approach them directly after some thought. So don't do it when you're angry. Do it when you're calmed down. But don't wait too long, because then people really do tend to explode. I think start with something you appreciate about that person, and then be very specific about what behavior you want them to stop. Don't just say, you're annoying me, but specifically, I need you to talk in a quieter tone of voice, or I need you to not use the speakerphone because it's distracting me.
When you dial.
Eric is a very accomplished anchor. Let me mention that.
All right, so here's another one. This is a big pet peeve for a lot of people in our office, the Badinsky, the know-it-all. They're in every conversation, and tough to get them out of the conversation. So how do you even know when the right time is to approach them about their annoying behavior?
Well, again, I think you should approach them in private, so not in front of everybody else, and use very specific examples, because a lot of these behaviors are old habits. They're very unconscious. So unless you're very specific in talking about when you want them included and when you don't, it's going to be hard for them to understand. But if you keep the focus on work and that you're trying to do the best at your job, and you really need to be able to focus, and it's hard to do it when they interrupt you, that's the best approach.
What if talking doesn't solve the problem, Lynn?
Well, I would give it a couple of shots, or maybe at least three, 3 strikes and you're out. And then if that doesn't work, then I think you need to escalate by talking to either your manager or somebody in HR. But, I think it's good to give people the benefit of the doubt, good to use a positive approach, perhaps humor if you're good at it, especially if you can make a joke about yourself. That always works.
Good point there. All right, let's flip the table. Not that someone would approach me.
No, no.
But what if someone approaches me with something? How should I respond? How should I react?
Well, try not to respond defensively, which is difficult for most of us. Most of us, if we get stopped by the State Patrol, don't jump out and say, thank you for stopping me. I'm so glad you did. Write me a ticket immediately. So it's human nature to get defensive, but try to stay away from that. Again, ask them for specifics. Ask them to tell you specifically what they want you to do and then not to do. And then spend some time thinking about it before you react.
You mentioned asking them what they should do, what you should and shouldn't do specifically. Give us just a quick recap of what we should all do or not do in the office.
Well, I think, again, trying to make sure that you're not creating an environment where other people can't get their work done is certainly number one. And I think it's important to realize that, even though we don't have to like our coworkers, we have to get along with them. So a positive office environment helps everybody. I think using humor, as long as it's safe humor and appropriate and about ourselves rather than at somebody else's expense, is always a good idea. And talking about things before they get out of line, before we get to the point where we're so angry we can't talk about them in a civil matter, is always a good approach.
And I know the big don't explode, keep the anger in check. When I threw the honey mustard off the wall, probably not a good thing.
It didn't go over so well in the newsroom, but it was fun to watch. Lynn, always a pleasure to have you with us. And by the way, I don't talk on the speakerphone, I just dial. Honey mustard boy.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you all.
All right.